We have Bruce live in the locker room in Tallahassee celebrating on the field with the Florida State. And I don't know why, like, we were able to run the ball so well in the first half, especially to the left side, and then all of a sudden we started to abandon it. And like I said, there is some inconsistent.
How are they going to approach this game? How are they going to beat this Florida State team?
Well, we're going to break you guys.
Okay, that's it. The show's over.
In the story, we're going to break you guys. Look, and I'm joking, but it's true.
Lord, the climb continues, KB. Oh my God!
I am sweating.
Look at my heart. Look.
You know what? Yeah, I have so much to say. All right, and welcome back to another episode of Seminole Sideline 365. As always, I am KB, and with me is the old man. How are you doing today? How was your Christmas break?
Good, very good. Cold weather up north. Took the old bird up north and stayed several days. It was cold, damp, rainy. And so today, as I tweeted you earlier before the show, because I didn't want you to get all crazy on me, I'm clearing my throat with this stuff, okay? So somewhere along the line, I picked up something in the throat area, which is common. You know, I've had my flu shot. I don't know if people have different ideas about vaccines, but I did have a flu shot. But I did pick up something here, so my voice a little scratchy. But you know what? It's like playing the game, KB. When the energy comes in, the adrenaline comes in, I'm ready to go. But if I seem a little subdued to our crew, then you know what? Then that's, don't hammer me too much. But before we get started, and as people get into the room here, because we're going to have a lot to talk about. I wasn't going to miss this show. I wasn't going to, not be able to play in this show tonight. I want everybody to know that tonight, this is my old man charity challenge for charity, okay? This is what we call charity challenge for super chats. I think everybody's familiar with super chats, and I want people to understand that tonight, any dollar you give in a super chat, I am going to match it dollar for dollar for the Leon County Humane Society. They're located at 413 Timber Lane.
I got
Timber.
I got it up on the screen. I got it up on the screen for people.
Okay, you got it up there on the screen. I'm going to match any donations, contributions, call them whatever you want, on the super chats, $4 coming out of my pocket for helping these needy animals. And often we forget how many cats, dogs, and other animals are out there suffering.
Birds.
And birds and lizards and snakes and whatever. But, these folks need some help. And last year, we made a donation to them as well. They're a very good organization. And if you're in the need of a cat or dog, and you're going to take care of them, you're going to be a responsible pet owner, go out there and talk to these great folks. They've got some great animals out there. And it's just hard when you go out there to walk away without getting one. So $4, and we'll remind you as we go, I match it out of my pocket. All the money goes to them.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will thank you for that. We'll keep you updated. And Mark, so I think how you super chat, there should be like a dollar thing on if you're watching on mobile or on the web, there should be like a dollar symbol where you can say that dollar symbol should be there, and that'll allow you to do it that way, I believe. Where you can press that button, then you put in a message, you put in an amount. It could be $1, 50 cents, or whatever you wish. But I think you should see that symbol. That should allow you to kind of push the super chat through there. And that's what, of course, what the old man will match for the Humane Society. But whatever you guys, you wish not to, wish to, no problems either way. But that's where that which the old man will match. So thank you all for that ahead of time. How's it going, Mark? Once again, Dagby, how is it going? Thanks for joining us. So we have a lot to discuss tonight. We're going to break down 3 different things tonight. We're going to lay this on the Orange Bowl since that is Saturday at 4 p.m. on ESPN. We're going to be tracking some portal targets because, it's starting to come into focus who Florida State is going after in the portal right now. They're scheduling some more visits. The window is shortening, obviously, with the portal. And Florida State needs to get in business. The money needs to be transferred to the right places. They need to start getting these commitments now to see because we're starting to see what the shape of this team is looking like. And we're going to see a preview of that on Saturday. We're going to see what a lot of this team looks like because a lot of people who are sitting out obviously aren't going to be here next year. So we're going to see, this is basically like a New Year's spring game or New Year's, whatever you want to call it. It is like a spring game in the winter time because you're going to see a lot of guys who are going to be fighting for time in 2024. So you're going to get a little bit of a glimpse of what the situation is going to be next year for a lot of guys. And the transfer portal is the opportunity for us to get better going into next season. And then we'll look at some bowl game results. Obviously, Miami played today, and they looked awful. So that was great news. That's the only game I've watched a minute of in the bowl season. I watched the last 5 minutes of that game on ESPN because, once again, I don't care about these bowl games. I don't care about ESPN. But when I saw they were losing, I had to tune in for that and to see that disaster happen. So we'll discuss some of those things, anything you guys find interesting and what you guys are watching, obviously. So let's get started on the Orange Bowl and what it means for this team. So we've gone back and forth. Obviously the game is upcoming here on Saturday. And Florida State has, the big news you've been hearing on every media site is Florida State has up to 19 plus opt-outs at this point in time. You could say, and I think that's, places like, ESPN and things like that love to make it. If you were watching any of the ball games or if you're on any media site, they're making a big deal about that, right? FSU having this many opt-outs, stuff like that. But for me, I don't think this is that big of a deal. And I think, once again, they're trying to push out this narrative. They're trying to push out different narratives. This, like, Florida State's players don't care, or this is a sign of poor culture for Florida State, But I don't think. I think we as fans, and once again, I'm not going to tell you how to think, obviously, but I think we as fans don't believe that this is, or for me, I'm going to say for myself, I don't see this as a bad sign for Florida State. I see this as a number of different things. One, you do have a good amount of players who are in the portal, and most of those players have found new homes, so they're not going to play. I think Florida State has had 10 plus players go into the portal so far, and a good amount of them have landed already, right? Now you had the surprise this week of Tate Rodemaker entering the portal, I believe, the day after Christmas or on Christmas Day, which was a little bit surprising the timing of it, but not surprising in terms of the circumstances of why he did it. This is a kid that has, I think, 1 year of eligibility left and is actively being recruited over in the transfer portal, right? We're waiting for Cam Ward or DJ. One of those two guys is going to be the incumbent starter on this team, and they were actively recruiting over Tate Rodemaker, right? So I don't think any Florida State fan has a problem with him leaving. I think it was just the timing of it all. If I was him, I probably would have wanted to potentially put a little bit more on tape. We could go back and forth on this, old man. Do you think, and we can, and maybe this is the right way to start the conversation about opt-outs. For a player like Tate Rodemaker, we've talked about how for guys like, like Verse and guys who, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, guys who are going to the next level and kind of have a good idea of where their draft stock is, it makes sense for them not to play in this game, right? They have nothing to gain and everything to lose, right? Nothing to gain. It makes sense for them to sit out, right? I hold nothing against them. They've done as much as they can for Florida State to elevate the team to 13-0. Now, the guys who are not sitting out, they do have something to gain. Either they're coming back next year and they want to further try to establish themselves on the depth chart and fight for time next year, which is totally, especially with a good crop of new recruits coming in, establish themselves on the depth chart. The second tier of guys is, potential players who could go to the NFL, but don't have a strong draft stock as of yet, and then trying to put together more tape for NFL scouts, because scouts will be watching this game. There may be some Florida State fans or Georgia fans that may not watch this game, but there will be, I guarantee you, scouts from the pros watching this game, because there will be NFL caliber talent on both sides of the ball, including guys like Braden Fisk, right? Fisk is not a guy that's a guaranteed top 3 round guy, even though I think a lot of Florida State fans could see him playing on the defensive line in the NFL, based on some big plays he's made, his motor, all the intangibles that he has. But I think that's a reason why a guy like him is going to be playing on Saturday, because he has a lot to gain. He does also have a lot to lose, but I think he has more to gain from playing and putting more on tape than he has from losing. I mean, this is a guy that wasn't on a lot of guys' radars this time last year, playing at Western Michigan. And now he's exploded onto the scene, playing at Florida State, playing in some big games. And I think this is an opportunity for him one last time to be on a national stage before the NFL draft and, going to the Senior Bowl. Do you agree that guys like that, and do you agree that should Tate Rodemaker have played in this game? Should he have maybe waited a little bit more time in terms of saying, I'm going to enter the portal, and played in this game so that he could have showcased a little bit more on tape versus saying, I'm going to, because I don't know where Tate's going to land. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a Power 5 or Power 2 program, Big Ten SEC program. I think it's going to be more like a Sun Belt program, or maybe FCS, but maybe like a Sun Belt, kind of maybe a lower level Big 12 program, because of what he doesn't have much tape, and that tape isn't the most flattering outside the Louisville game. What are your thoughts?
I think you gave a pretty good summary there, KB. I think, well, first of all, let me say, I've been very vocal on Twitter. I've been very vocal on our programs leading up to this one, that, first of all, I fully support all players on FSU and Georgia, and all fans on both sides who opt out of this game. There's no doubt that I've penned my name to opting out on social media, and I still am in that arena, that opting out for players and opting out for fans is fully supportable. No one should feel guilty about it at all in that regard. Now, in terms of quarterback Tate, which the news broke on Christmas, I believe you and I tweeted. Yeah, I think you alerted me to that, or I alerted. I can't even remember.
You thought I was making it up. You thought I was making it up.
Well, no, I was surprised, but I wasn't totally shocked by it. You and I had been saying for months that we expected him to opt out. I guess the criticism for Tate has been, well, your timing was crappy, But you know what? I haven't gotten too into that hype about when is good timing. You know what I mean? There's never good timing to announce a divorce to anybody. Okay. As they say. So I think we shouldn't be so hard on Tate Rodemaker or his family. He has spent 4 years in this program, and they thought at this point he would be the heir apparent coming in. And then he had a bit of bad luck there in the Florida game. He gets concussed and he has to come out of the game. And then he can't play in the ACC championship game. So all of a sudden he's hit with some really bad luck. So, everybody thought he was going to lead the team in this, what I call meaningless exhibition game called the Orange Bowl. As far as I'm concerned, any bowl games outside of playoffs, in this case, it's 4 teams, not 12 like next year. Any bowl games outside of playoff competition is merely an exhibition game to help those players who want to increase draft stock or fight for positions on their football teams for next season, because there is the risk of injury. Now, how does Tate fall into that? Well, yeah, we can agree or disagree on the timing, but he has every right to opt out. at any time he wants to. And I think he had conversations with his family over Christmas, whether or not risk versus reward in this game. What was the reward, especially when many players, especially on the offense, starters, were opting out of this game? What was there to be gained? They probably thought there was more to lose on tape than win on tape in that regard. So we could argue that to the cows come home, as they say, and so on. But let's not burden him too much or beat him up because he announced it on that Christmas day. And maybe he had told Coach Mike Norvell that, yeah, I'm in. Well, you know what? A lot of players have decided they're not in. And I think at kickoff, now you discussed Brandon Fisk. I'm surprised that he would play in this game. I don't think he has anything left to prove. And I think playing in this game, he risks serious injury being an interior lineman. He gets rolled up once, his career can be over. So he's probably trying to increase his draft status in this regard. He may see himself as a middle round guy, and he's trying to really have a outstanding performance in this game, at least one-on-one battles. He may not be concerned, KB, about who wins the game as much as he is, can I take on double teams successfully? Can I take on my individual blockers successfully and show up and look good? Because the scouts don't give a shit about who wins or who loses this game. They care about individual matchups. And against Georgia, depending who he's going against. Now, my understanding is one of the guys maybe he was going against was Mims, the guy at Florida State, war champ that we had locked up. Yeah. My understanding, he's not playing. He's opted out for the draft. My understanding is Brock Bowers now. This has all been close hold. All of this stuff. Teofili, we just found out the other day, he's not going to be in the game. I thought he might be running the Wildcat. He said some kind of surgery. Yeah. Now, Brandon Fisk has been walking around with a boot on. I think
he's walked around with a boot all year. He's been
what I'm saying is, I think we're going to find out that just because guys have been practicing does not mean they're going to play in this game. That includes guys who are coming back, who may have minor injuries. There's nothing to be gained for those guys. They don't have to prove themselves in front of this coaching staff, and that's all that counts. Especially guys are coming back for the 24 team.
Well, okay.
They know what they have in these guys. But hang on for a minute. So in that regard, first of all, I think that we won't know till kickoff.
Okay, yeah. Obviously, yeah.
Well, not obviously. Did you see the depth chart?
But we know the depth chart doesn't mean anything. We learned that against Pittsburgh when guys Coleman didn't play.
In this case, the depth chart does mean something. Let's look at let's look at it for a minute. Okay, let's look at and I think we have the same one up here. Let's look at on the offensive side. First of all, we have one quarterback who has very limited experience, and that's Brock Glenn.
He's your only scholarship quarterback.
He's the only scholarship quarterback. I thought we might see a little bit of a surprise by putting Deuce Spann as a potential Wildcat. He went to Illinois, was it, or Indiana? Illinois. As a quarterback / athlete. Now they turned him into a wide receiver, but this guy played some quarterback. He's elusive. We know he's very fast. You might see him take some snaps. Otherwise, you're going to have put in preferred walk-ons, Dylan McNamara or Michael Grant, who have taken no snaps, and they're all freshmen. So your whole quarterback room going in here is totally freshmen. On this chart here, they have Deuce Spann listed now behind Destin Hill. It's kind of weird that Deuce Spann's not in the portal, to be honest. He hasn't been on the field, so he doesn't really have a lot of tape except as a kick returner in that regard. But look up and down this roster. Now, We know we're depleted at tight end. Kyle Morlock, I guess, is going to play. If I was Coach Norvell, do I want to lose Kyle Morlock in a game like this? Am I really concerned that much about winning this game as I am to protect certain players? If I was the coach, I'm sitting out a guy like Kyle Morlock. We can declare, put a boot on him. I don't give a damn what you do. I don't want to lose Kyle Morlock to my 24 team.
Well,
other guys,
once again, you're thin there too because you lost 2 times in the portal. You lost Marquise and Preston Daniel, but that's why Kyle Moore. It's not like it's a balancing act too because you want to see how guys perform with other players. Because if you believe Brock Glenn is going to be a future starting quarterback at Florida State, you want to see how he can play with Kyle Morlock and how he can play with guys of the caliber. You don't just want to put Brock Glenn into a firing line and just start all your backup offensive linemen who maybe not, there's a balancing act here. You can't just say, guys, let's just put all walk-ons in and make it a walk-off exhibition game. Like, I don't agree with that type of mentality. If guys are ready to go, you can't just say, because you could have that same mindset the entire year. You could say, well, if you lose one game in the regular season, let's just play the backups all year. It's not worth risking an injury for next season. So I don't think just because it is a glorified exhibition game, that's not to say you can't put your best foot forward for the guys that are willing to play and wanting to play this game. I don't agree that you shouldn't play Kyle Morlock in this game because I do think those reps can carry over next year. This is a guy that was playing at Division III last year. This guy is a guy who is rotating throughout the season with Jaheim Bell and 6 other guys in that room. This guy needs meaningful reps.
Okay, I don't mean to interrupt you. But Jeff Hill just dropped $20 on us on a super chat. Usually I'd have my lights and bells here, Jeff, but I'm on the road. But no matter what, you helped the animals tonight at the Leon County Humane Society, and I'm matching you with that $20.
That's awesome.
So we have $40 right now in the pot for Leon County Humane Society, and we appreciate that. And now Jeff says, Tate, I understand why he wanted to transfer, but if he thinks he's a starter, then he should have proven himself, I guess, whenever it comes. It's the coach's job to recruit over you. It's your job to try to keep the job. I don't disagree with what Jeff's saying. Do you?
No, Jeff, I think you bring up a good point. And like you said, they were actively, and that's kind of what the statement said his family put out there, is that they were actively recruiting over him. And I don't think there was a reason why they shouldn't have been. We saw what happened in the Florida game. It wasn't pretty. We won that game, but that was on the back of the defense for the most part. Let's just be honest. The offense wasn't clicking. I don't think it would have gotten much better if he was playing in a Louisville game, to be honest with you. I think this team, this offense would have had a ceiling with Tate Rodemaker. And I think, Jeff, you're completely right. And I think Mike Norvell and the staff made the decision to say, we need to get better at that position immediately, because Brock Glenn is going to need some time to develop as a true freshman, with a redshirt year. And you're right, Jeff. And that's why they did it. And I think it was the right decision. And they kind of told Tate, you need to go, essentially. And I think the writing was on the wall. Now, could he made that decision? Could he have said, I don't think they would have been mad at him if they said, hey, you can stick around through the bowl game if you want the reps in practice and to work through it. But for him, it may have been the decision, it's better to put my name in earlier rather than later just to get the feel.
Well, there's certain windows too he has to make to get into the portal.
January 2nd.
There's no doubt this was a family decision. They all sat down and talked about it, whether he plays another down of football or not. You know what I mean? That it's, that's the decision. But, for Florida State now, it looks like they're going to bring in a 1-year quarterback, and then next year they're going to be back in the portal trying for another quarterback.
That's not true. What do you know?
What are you talking about? If they bring in Ward, if they bring in GJU, those are 1-year guys, aren't they?
That's why they're setting up this transition plan. Brock Glenn needs another year of development before he's ready to compete.
Oh, really? He's going to be ready to go in another year?
No,
he's going to be ready to go. Tate wasn't ready to go in 4 years.
Tate wasn't a highly rated quarterback. He wasn't a highly rated quarterback. Luke, who they brought in, is the highest rated quarterback they brought in since Jameis Winston. They do not want to start him next year. They want to give him a year to develop and be coached and build up his body to play. The goal is
okay. I'm going to interrupt you, KB. We got another important contribution coming in from Mark Dorfman. I think it's is that 20 or 25, Mark?
I believe that is $20. Thank you so much, Mark, for that.
That's $20. Mark, thank you so much. I'm going to match that. The old man's going to match that. And hopefully KB can pull up the total at the end of our show. But I'm going to match that with another $20. So that's another $40 into the Leon County Humane Society to help these needy animals and all the staff that they have there. And so that's greatly appreciated. And we appreciate that so much, Mark. You're a loyal viewer on here. Thank you so much. So go ahead, KB.
So we've talked about this before. It's the succession plan. They don't want a multi-starter in the portal. They want a 1-year loan, kind of a bridge loan, to get the succession plan in place.
But there wasn't a succession plan before this?
No, yes, it was supposed to be.
I'm not sure I buy into your argument.
And Tate has not worked out. You have to buy into it. But this is Tate did not work out.
Why didn't Norvell tell him before the bowl game then? And I'm not here to defend Tate.
We don't know that.
Why didn't they say to him, well, listen, Tate, you're not here. Obviously, when he found out they brought 2 guys on campus, he knew the succession plan, and it wasn't him.
This has been going on for 3 weeks.
Everybody shouldn't be hammering him because he's decided. And I haven't been a big Tate guy. If people look back at the film, I haven't been a big Tate supporter. I don't think he could take this team to. I don't know if he could take them to the ACC championship. I didn't think he could, but next year. But you know what? He made his decision. He's out. So let's not hammer the kid.
No one's hammering. I don't think anyone's hammering.
Well, a lot of people, a lot of fans have been about the timing.
Okay, but the timing is because they've been. I mean, DJ and Cam came on campus 2 or 3 weeks ago, and these rumors have been out for almost a month. So it's not like this is a surprise. They've been recruiting guys at the quarterback position. So that's the weird part about the timing. I mean, if I was him and I saw that they were talking about recruiting DJ and Cam, I'm sure the staff went to him 3 weeks ago and said, hey, Tate, we're going to bring a guy to compete for the starting position. We just want you to know, or they probably told him, this is it. We're bringing in another guy for the starting role. You can compete with him or you can go. And I bet he was just internally making the call. But this isn't like they just started talking about Cam Ward or DJ to the last week or so. This has been going on for 3 weeks. So that's why the timing's weird, because he's known about this. But that's beyond that.
Okay, that's beyond that. We don't care. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, if you had to rate our quarterback room right now, it's an F. It's a grade F because there's no experience whatsoever. So I've been saying now. So I'm not expecting. I'm going to be honest. We could get blown out in this game. I don't really care. But there's certain fans out there, trolls out there that are really going to blow this thing up. I'm not going to get caught up in that. And I would tell fans, don't get caught up in all that hype. Don't get in these running arguments on Twitter and other social media about this stuff. That's not really the way to go, in that regard. Okay, got to stop you again. Pete DeGree. Pete, nice seeing you out here tonight. Thanks for coming in and making a great contribution to this worthy cause, the Leon County Humane Society. They do a great job with all the needy animals in the Tallahassee area, and that's great.
Thank you so much, Pete.
$4.99, and the old man, boom. It's going to match that donation, and we're going to put more money there in the bucket for the animals. So thanks so much. It is a great cause. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mark, Jeff, and Pete. So we're up to $90 so far. We're up to $90. Thank you guys so much. Back to what you were saying, and thank you, Pete, again. That's all of you so far. Yeah, I want to go back to your point. The room is very young, and like you said, you've lost Tate. Most quarterback rooms are not going to have a lot of experience in the portal era. You're not going to have a backup with 3 years experience coming in just because of what the portal is. Guys are not sitting on the bench anymore, right? So that's why if you don't have a guy, a highly talented 5-star guy that is ready to come. Look at Oregon. They lost 2 quarterbacks and then they had to go in and plug another one in, right? Because these guys that are highly, if you bring in 2 5-star quarterbacks in, one of them is going to leave the next year if they don't get immediate playing time. You're not going to have a guy with 3,000 yards of experience on the bench. It's just not going to happen anymore. Or you're not going to have 2 5-star guys that are waiting to be developed. So to say the quarterback room's an F, well, it's F on experience because you don't get that anymore. Now you could say it's F because you don't have a 5-star waiting in the wings, but
I'm rating it on what's in the room today. Okay.
Luke is in the room, right? He is.
It's an F. He hasn't taken a snap, KB. What the hell are you talking about? He hasn't taken a snap.
But he's the incumbent for it. That's why you brought him in. That's why you signed him.
Well, yeah.
No, what QB rooms? Reference me the QB rooms that have guys that are going to come in.
In the old days, when there wasn't
the old days. No, this isn't the old days.
Listen,
old man.
You're using a word from the old days, KB, and that's incumbent. Incumbent. When we didn't have this free agency going on, there weren't any transfer portals. Then you could use the word incumbent. You bring guys in to school them for a couple years, and maybe the guy would get 1 full season of starts, maybe 2 if we're lucky. Sometimes they shared the job. Okay, ask Jimmy Jordan and Wally Woodham. Great quarterbacks for Bobby Bowden, who ended up, they were both so good. If one guy's having a bad day, Bobby Bowden would put in the other guy, and they'd still win games. No, I'm saying that's right. So don't use the word incumbent. There are no incumbents. The only incumbent will be DJU or Cam Ward.
You are saying these guys, that they don't have experience. What QB room in the country has a ton of experience on the bench?
Anybody in our bench right now has 0 experience.
Well, which college team does? Which college team has a room full experience as backups?
Well, anybody that has a good quarterback on roster right now has more experience than what we have.
Oh my God!
I don't know how that's even arguable, to be honest with you.
Because
but let's move on.
That was lost to an injury. It
doesn't matter.
It doesn't make sense. The argument doesn't make any sense.
Okay, right. Dagby is saying, really Tate was the incumbent. I don't use the word incumbent too much, but he's no longer here. So what we have in there is no experience, despite a few snaps that Blake has.
And that's what you're bringing in, and that's why you're bringing in either DJ or Cam.
You good? And I want to say this before you move on. When we look at this Orange Bowl roster here, you don't think DJU and Ward now are leveraging this? You're a business guy, are leveraging this opportunity, knowing we have 0 in our quarterback room. They're leveraging this now, no doubt.
They're only going to go somewhere that has 0 in their QB room, but they do have leverage. But they also want to go somewhere where they also need to be highlighted for their talent as well. So
what do you think everybody's waiting for? Who's waiting this out?
Cam is the one who we're waiting on. Cam is deciding.
How do you know that? Who told you that? Who told you that?
That is the obvious thing. He's either deciding, do I want to go to the NFL or do I want to go
not ready to go to the NFL. He's not ready.
Based on what? How much?
Based on how many turnovers the guy makes. Right. He's not ready. He's not ready to go.
Well, that is what the consensus is.
They're waiting on a bag is what they're waiting on. They're waiting on the best NIL deals to come in for 1 year. They have no loyalty to who they go to. DJU had no loyalty. Oregon State had a great season there. They can't lay enough big a bag there or visibility. So he wants to get to a better visibility team with a bigger bag.
Left. His coach had no loyalty. His coach.
Well, why didn't he go with his coach? Why didn't he go with his coach?
Go to shitty Michigan State.
Oh, okay. So they're
why? Like, these guys don't just want money; they also want to compete for something too. They don't want to go win 6 games in the Big Ten. So where's the loyalty for the coach?
Okay. Well, here's what I put out this week. I believe they're waiting on the best NIL deal. I think either one of them will come to Florida State. Either one. I think DJU fits the system a little bit better. It's arguable who does. The better playmaker is Ward, but they're waiting for the money. They're waiting. And I don't blame these kids. I'm not gonna blame them.
Money's the issue. Right
This
now.
is
I don't
all
think
business now. We know that after being snubbed for the playoffs, it's all business. That's reality. We don't have to cry anymore. We're not going to whimper that we got left out. But the reality is, it's all business, and it is all business for these players too.
I don't think money's the issue. Florida State has one of the best run NIL programs. So like I said, I don't think.
Did I say they didn't have a good? Didn't I say the Battle's End is not a good program?
That's the
I
issue.
have no idea. I have no idea how much they have in the bank. I have no idea what they have in the bank.
I don't think that's.
I don't know.
I don't think that's the issue. Or they would have moved on. They've already told other kids to move on. Patrick Payton put his name and put it out because they had the ability to give him the offer he wanted. So I think they're going to prioritize. I don't think it's money. I think it's NFL or come back, and that's what they're waiting on. But looking at other positions, so like you said, running back is thin because he lost to a Philly to a season-ending injury. So we hope he comes back strong from that surgery.
Didn't we just find that out? When was that surgery? That was almost like a surprise to me when I saw that. I thought he'd be running the Wildcat. Why did that come out so late? That was kind of weird, to be honest. I thought, didn't you?
It came out on the 26th. That's when the news reported. I don't know. Once again, with medical issues, we know
Norvell keeps it clamped down. We know that. There were no social media on it till it popped out Christmas week.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't have that surgery Christmas week. It had to be before.
Once again, I'm not going to dive too into it, but that is kind of a big loss. But once again, I mean, it's better for him to get the surgery now.
Loss.
Well, once again, we know what we have in him. I'd honestly rather see because
you know what? I go back to my own theory, KB. I wouldn't have played him anyways.
Well,
I would have said, he's got some injuries. He's out. Do you ever watch these NFL playoffs? If a team's already in the playoffs and they got 1 or 2 games to go, at least one, and they're playing some crappy team, it means nothing to them. How many guys are sitting out that they say, oh, this guy's got an injury, what do you think that coach is doing? He's saving the players for the playoffs. That's going on now. You'll see it this week. But in the NFL, you have to list the guy certain ways, okay, to get around that. They scrutinize that because they're talking about people paying money to go see these guys, But in this case, Mike Norvell, I would bet this. Let me say this, and then we'll hit this roster again. Let me say this. I've been thinking about this all day. We're never going to know this, but there's no way in my mind do I believe Mike Norvell told some of these star players, hey, God, you got to join the team. It's all about the team. It's about the rah. We're going to go down there and we're going to beat the Georgia Bulldogs, and it's about revenge, and we got snubbed, and you guys got to join us. You can't leave the team now. No way. He didn't do that. He probably sat these guys down, the ones going to the NFL for sure, and said, listen, I get it. I totally get it. You've done a lot for this team. You've done a lot for the university. You should feel no guilt walking out of here. That's what I think he said, because he says he's all about the players' best interest. That's what a coach would say about the players' best interest. You tell me I'm wrong on that.
No, I don't think he's wrong, but he's also going to support the players who do opt in.
I don't have a problem with that. But he also knows there's certain major contributors on this roster that, that maybe should sit out of this game a little bit. And let's see what everybody else can do.
Yeah, we've said this.
That's smart business. KB, it's smart business for your football team. We don't want to lose one of these starters, a Patrick Payton with a broken leg during a game that basically means nothing to Patrick Payton. He's the starter on the edge for us in 24. So let's not pretend he isn't. He has nothing else to prove to anybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, now let me add this. Okay, my voice is coming back good. Hang on a minute.
I know. I wish it would go.
Hang on a minute. I've heard Fentrell Cypress is going to be on the 24 team, but I've heard he hasn't decided whether he's going to play in the game or not. He's been practicing, which you can do. He might not play. You might not see him. Okay, Braden Fisk, obviously going to the NFL. He says he's been practicing. He says he's going to the NFL, which he's used up all his eligibility. I'd be shocked to see him in there for very long. Farmer is not playing, correct? He's out.
He's on the. What do you mean he's out?
No, he's not playing, from what I understand. He's not in the portal.
Your understanding of what?
Okay, I'm just saying I don't think.
When you say your understanding of what? Why?
My understanding is maybe he's going to opt out of playing in this game. What does he have to prove in this game? This game is about, for players, developmental players who have something to prove, or you're going to the NFL.
Okay, but if you could say that about every goddamn player, and you wouldn't have enough roster to play the game.
That's right.
Take the field then. Then just say don't take the field. You will not have enough roster scholarship players to play the goddamn game. Okay, so just don't play the game. Just say don't play the game.
Well, why not? I don't have a problem with that. I don't, because it's the corporation that's running this stuff. Okay. You don't think Coach Norvell and Coach Smart, both of them, all the ADs, are playing the corporate card here? Their careers is coaching football, and these games are part of the corporation. That's what it is. It's all big money. They're going to say the right things. Now, tomorrow there's a joint press conference, which should be kind of interesting. But Mike Norvell is an absolute professor in handling questions, whether it's from FSU media, which is soft, or harder national media. Okay, I get more interested in what questions are being asked. But in this regard, they're playing the corporate card, the smiles and everything else. They have to do that. I'm not blaming them for that. They have, they've got bills to be paid too. You tell me I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, you're right.
You tell me I'm wrong on that. But would I want to lose Patrick Payton in a game like this? Absolutely not. Tatum Bethune is trying to make a decision. Whether he's going to play to up his.
He has to play the game. He is not a high draft pick. He needs to play the game.
Well, that's up to him. Okay. Deloach is Deloach playing?
On the team is going to be a high.
I think Deloach is playing. Deloach is going to play in the game.
Yes.
On the defensive side, I think we're going to be more solid. There's a lot of solid players that are going to play in this game, but whether or not they're going to be able, and Georgia's going to have people out. I haven't studied who they got out. I had family telling me, my granddaughter goes to the university. Oh no, everybody's going to be there. BS. They're not all going to be there. Okay. But I don't know who's in or who's out. We're going to have some solid guys here that I hope will make this a game. I don't think it'll be a blowout. However, if this offensive line, which most of them are going to be in this game, okay, from what I understand, most of them are going to be in this game, they need to stand up and block for Brock Glenn, or he's just going to be handing the ball off a lot. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Okay, I'm done for a while. You go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, well, thank you. So, like you said, Patrick Payton shouldn't play 50 snaps, and I don't expect him to play 50 snaps. I expect him to play, if he does play the regular rotational snaps that they played during the normal season. I think you'll see guys like Joshua Farmer, Dennis Briggs, Tatum Bethune, Braden Fisk. A lot of these guys do have something to prove. Braden Fisk has a lot to prove to NFL scouts that he could be a top 3 round type of guy, top 4 round type of guy. Because like I said, he's new on the scene. We have a lot to see from Gilbert Edmond and Brian Turner. We need to see if those guys are.
These guys haven't played much.
Can I finish my goddamn sentence, please?
Go ahead.
God.
Don't get so
Dante
upset.
Anderson, Jaden Jones, Dante Anderson, Patrick Payton. We need to see how these guys fit. We're bringing in the guy from Purdue the first week of January. We need to see what those guys have to bring. Can they complement what Patrick Payton does? Can Patrick Payton play off a double team? Because this guy's not going to have Jared Verse on the opposite edge of him. Can he play against the caliber of talent that Georgia has on their offensive line? I think Patrick Payton needs to show that on tape too. That is, like I said, this is what scouts are going to be watching this game. This can show for those NFL teams, because Patrick Payton isn't a lock for the NFL yet. He's played well for FSU. He's been a first-team All-ACC guy, but he's still a sophomore. He still needs to. He's still fighting for his draft stock. He's not draft eligible yet, so he still has to prove. Can I be a first-round guy? Can I prove out that I am a first-round pick next year? when I'm eligible to go to the draft. So I still think he does have stuff to prove. Now, do I want him playing 50 snaps? No, I don't want him playing 50 snaps and potentially getting injured. But if you go into every game of your season thinking, God, I hope I don't play too much so I don't get injured, well, don't play football then, right? Don't play the shitty games. Don't play against Syracuse. Don't play against Wake Forest. Hold your best players out of those games because you could get injured, right? So I don't think you can go into games hoping you don't get injured, because every game, no matter who the opponent is, you could get injured. But I think most of the players on this team who are on this depth chart still have a lot to prove, or have something to prove to someone, whether it's an NFL scout, whether it's to Mike Norvell, whether it's to themselves, whether they can play up to the talent of a Georgia. Because Georgia, for even who they may be missing on Saturday, is going to be one of the toughest opponents that Florida State's played all season, talent-wise, star composite-wise on their roster. So this is, and I know we're going to be missing a lot of our the starters on this team, but it's going to be a good barometer of the talent we have on this roster and where we need to improve and the areas we need to improve. What does Brock look like as a quarterback? How does he stand up? Does he get rattled during this game? Where can he improve? What's Keziah Holmes look like? What is the freshman Sam Singleton? Is he able to make some big plays here and there? Like I said, I don't expect, Florida State to put up 40 points or 35 points on Georgia's defense. I don't expect things like that. I just want to see a couple of guys make some plays. I want to see who stands out against a great opponent like Georgia. Can Darian Williamson show me something? Or is it time for us? Do we need to bring in an Evan Stewart from Texas A&M, right? This is going to show us who needs to be kind of churned off this team, or who needs to be supplemented. What other players do we need to add to this team? And who needs to maybe lose their starting spot next year?
Okay, I think that was good. I don't have a major disagreements with what you're saying there. Now you're sounding like a general manager. KB, you may be a good candidate to be general manager of a team here. I mean, that was pretty good, because that's what these games now, outside of playoff bowl games, it's all developmental. And that's how a coach is approaching it, without a doubt. The rah and the score in the end, it doesn't matter. It's like the spring game. Who you're going to study. The coaches are going to love this, because they're going to be able to study the tapes after the game's over, no matter who wins or who loses. I don't really care. I mean that sincerely. And most of our fans don't get caught up in the winning or the losing. It's who is playing good ball that's going to make this team in 24 go win an ACC title, which guarantees you a playoff spot. Period.
And that's how
it's that easy.
This is how fans should approach this game: is look at it like a spring game. Which guys are hustling every play? Which guys are able to make big plays in the open field? Which guys are making critical catches on third and long and third and short? Which guys are fully committed throughout the game, not checking out. That's what I want to see. Which of those guys, just like in the spring game, stand out to you? Which are those guys who come next fall do you expect something out of next year? Because you're going to see a lot of players who didn't get a lot of playing time, in the normal season. Destin Hill, Darian Williamson, Kentron, Hakeem. You're going to get, you should get excited. You're going to see a lot of these younger players, especially on offense, or developmental guys that didn't get a lot of PT. And that should be the exciting part about this game. Like you said, regardless of score, put the score out of your mind. You get to see some of these developmental players or younger players. Same on the offense or on the defense. You're probably going to see a lot of Omar Graham or maybe Justin Cryer, Blake Nicholson. Even on the defense, you're going to maybe see some Kadarius Jones and things like that. Daryl Jackson, you'll see for the first time, defensive line. But see how these guys hold up.
Well, that's an interesting one.
Talented players in the country. And see,
Daryl Jackson
who stands out.
Daryl Jackson will be very interesting, but don't expect Daryl Jackson to be playing every snap. He's going to get winded quickly. He's not been playing, so he'll be on a rep count. Everybody has to understand, like pitchers in baseball have a pitch count. Well, a lot of these guys are going to be on a rep count, okay, in some ways.
But look for write down who stands out to you. Hopefully on Saturday, there's a few guys that stand out to say, that guy could be a playmaker next year. That guy that we didn't see this year because they are so buried in depth, whether it's on the receiver or tight end or defensive back or defensive tackle, that guy is now could be a star for us next year. That's what I hope to see.
Let me, there's been a lot of comments coming in. We're trying to get everybody's up as much as we can. One of the things is culture. This culture, there's a lot of as you said at the beginning of the show, KB, there's going to be a lot of narratives written before this game and after this game. Okay. And some of the themes you said, some of the themes that we've seen out there is culture. But you know what? Mike Norvell keeps everything close, to himself. The media interviews are worthless in a sense, in terms of getting good information. But, he is a good coach. There's absolutely no doubt. But if everybody thinks he's so concerned about winning this game, of course you play to win the damn game. Yeah. I get that. You're never going to put players into a contest without trying to win the game. But he knows he's going to get much more out of this than winning or losing. Okay. First of all, he wants no injuries to his starters he sees coming into 24. That's important. That's an important goal. And as you said, the development of younger players. I think the key to this game for Florida State, I think their defense is going to be pretty decent. The offense, can the offensive line protect their young quarterback? I think the running backs, Keziah Holmes, Sam Singleton, Ja'Kai Douglas, who hasn't normally operated out of the backfield, but he's durable, and Josh Burrell, who's actually a wide receiver who played high school running back. These guys, I think they all have skills to do this, but we all have to understand that this game is not the 2023 team that went 13-0 and won the ACC championship. Yeah. Let there be no doubt that this team is not playing in this game like a lot of these non-playoff bowls.
Yeah. Just have a spring game mindset. And like you said, just look for what stands out to you. Write down what stands out to you. And that's what we'll be discussing. Or what
let's say again,
people who stand out to you.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to approach it. I'm not going to approach it of, I hope we win this game. I hope, because this game result means nothing, but it's the commitment, the hustle, who's making plays, who is fighting through everything. Because once again, you are at a disadvantage with the opt-outs, but once again, who stands out, who is, making big plays in the open field, making big catches, and fighting through tackles. That's what I want to see. And those are the players I hope will be, those are the guys that are going to have a leg up next year that I hope will be making plays for us in 24. So that's what
as we move on here for a few minutes, we want to thank, and I personally want to thank all those who have made a contribution in the super chats, given us a super chat, and to help the needy animals in the Leon County Humane Society. It's a great organization in Tallahassee. They're out there rescuing and rehabbing and caring for needy animals, especially in the winter portion of North Florida, which gets damn cold. Okay. I've lived up there and I know what that is. And my matching every dollar in a super chat for this great cause. What do we have in the pot? We have 90. That's with my match, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
We have 45 contribution and I'm putting in 45. That's $90 right now going towards the animal shelter. And I think that's just great. And we appreciate that from you guys out there. So do you see the defense is being better in this game for us, more stable than the offense, or vice versa?
Yeah, no, there's a lot. There's a lot more depth and a lot more people returning on the defense. The only area of concern that could be probably a little bit more targeted by Georgia, because remember, Carson Beck's playing this game, so that quarterback leadership's going to be able to potentially pick apart parts of the defense that are missing. Linebacker is going to be very thin. And that's going to be an area of concern for Florida State, I think, going into next year. You're going to lose. You already lost Lundy to the portal. He's going to Colorado. Bethune is going to be, obviously, he's playing this game most likely, but he won't be here next year. And that's going to be, it's great that he's playing, but you won't have it next year. So he'll be the only real leader in the linebacking room. And behind him is freshmen, Blake Nicholson, Omar Grant Jr., Justin Cryer. You do have Deloach, which is great that he's playing as well. So you'll have Tatum in Deloach, but you won't have Lundy. So I think that you won't feel as much, but you won't have as deep of a rotation. And they'll probably be rotating in a lot of younger guys just to get them experience, I believe, in this game for next season. So to your point, just saying to you real quick, I don't think you won't feel as much on the defense. But once again, you're playing one of the better offenses and most experienced teams that you've played all year. So I do think there will be a little bit.
Okay, I got to interrupt you for a minute. Am I right that Mark Dorfman put another $5 in the pot?
I think you're right. Yes, that is it. Mark Dorfman, another $5.
Mark Dorfman, thank you so much, because you've really stepped up here for the animal shelter.
That's $100 then overall.
Yeah, the Leon County, and I'm matching that, obviously. I'm matching that $5, and we appreciate that, Mark, so much. And I imagine you're an animal lover, and whether you have animals or you don't, this is a very worthy organization in the Tallahassee area. So thanks. Go ahead, KB.
Yes, thank you, Mark. That puts us over 100 total. So appreciate that, and the animals will appreciate you as well. But I think you're totally right. It'll be a good test for this defense with everyone who's returning. So because you're losing the linebackers, they'll be playing, but these defensive backs will get a good challenge, and it'll be great if Fentrell plays. And it looks like Kevin Knowles will be rotating with Greedy Vance, and it'll be good experience to see how those guys hold up and see how guys like, Shaheem Brown and those guys play against, like I said, a decent, a really good Georgia offense. Now, if Georgia is missing McConkley and Bowers, they still have some pretty good weapons that they'll be, but in this area.
Of course.
So you do have a good amount of your defensive backs returning, your linebackers, stuff like that. And you have your defensive line pieces. You're missing Verse, but you have Daryl Jackson on the defensive line returning for the first time. You do have Fisk, who likely is playing. And you do have guys like Farmer, who I expect to play now that his name is not being in the portal anymore. So I think like you said, you'll feel it less on the defensive side, but you are playing an offense that can score points, and probably one of the better teams overall that you've played all season long. The thing that I think we're all concerned about is the offense. You're down to your third string quarterback. The offense has not been clicking since Jordan Travis has gone down. Florida, Louisville, you have not looked good on offense. It has not clicked. So I'm interested to see what Norvell over these past 4 or 5 weeks, what his game plan is. Is it do span, mobile quarterback? Because what worked against Louisville was the halfback run, was the option with a running back, where you had that option play where it's direct snap. You did it with Toa Philly, but he's no longer available. So is it to Keziah Holmes? Is it Sam Singleton? Is it, Brock Glenn has speed, but it's not Jordan Travis speed, right? And you don't want to expose Brock Glenn to a head hit or a knee injury when you're going to a walk-on quarterback. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what the offense will look like. I assume there'll be some differences in the offense from 5 weeks ago against Louisville. I just don't know how I don't know how the offense is going to plan to score points against Georgia. That's the issue for me. Hopefully the defense can generate some turnovers, which they are very capable of doing. But you're going to have to get creative on offense, and I don't know how that's going to look.
Okay, KB. You're gonna hold me to what I'm gonna say right now. You're gonna hold me to what I say. For each point that Florida State scores in this game, I'm gonna give $1. I'm gonna give $1 donation to the Leon County Animal Humane Society. Okay.
$5.
Okay. No, I'm giving $1. Why don't you? I don't see you. I'm giving $1 for each point. Okay, you know what? I'm going to make it $2 a point. You write that down. I'm going to make it $2 a point for each. $2 a point for Florida State in this game.
I'll match that. So we'll make it from the show $4 for every point. Let's just make it $5. $2.50. So $5 total for every point that Florida State puts up.
Okay, and that's going to go along with this contribution that our Super Chat viewers and fans are putting in the can for this worthy cause.
So Florida State figures out a way to put up 50. So if Florida State puts up
I don't
50
care.
somehow, that'll
Good.
be great. That'll be great for the Eagles. I don't see that
I'm
happening,
good.
but that'll be great. So
That's a
let's see.
win-win. We'll
a
take the
win-win.
win at the
Absolutely.
game, and we'll take the win for the animals. How
All right,
about
so
that?
$5 per point.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would love to see that, but it'll be
And then we'll
interesting.
let all our fans know on Twitter
Keep us
and
good. Keep us
our
good. We'll post it.
follow-up show exactly the amount we're sending out.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll post that.
It's wonderful,
that donation.
wonderful.
So yeah, but they'll have to get creative. Once again, I think you're right. We may see some Deuce Spann type, because he's the only guy who has, I believe, quarterback experience. There may be some of these guys that have high school quarterback experience, but they're going to need some speed. In the
I would like to see that with Deuce.
He may not want to do it though. He may, but at the same time, it's
no,
not like they're throwing him
if
the
the
ball.
coach goes to him and says, "Listen, we're going to make a few plays for you at quarterback,"
Ryan Courtney
because
former quarterback. So
because you want some guy, because Brock Glenn could go out of the game with just a sprained toe. I mean, that could happen, and so you got to throw. It's like Army Navy; they throw like 6 or 7 passes. So if you got a guy who can throw a few of those passes, because they bring everybody up in the box. If Florida State can't throw the football, which I think Mike Novella is going to throw the football, they're just going to stack the box. So you've got to have two quarterbacks who can at least throw the ball a little bit.
Yeah, you got to be able to throw the ball, because I do not think this offensive line is going to be able to establish a running lanes consistently enough against Georgia. They're going to have to be able to show the ability to throw the ball. And that's where I really want to see, can Darian Williamson make plays? And if not, Darian, Kentron have been here for a while, right? They're both redshirt juniors. I want to see them. I know it's not going to be the ideal circumstances, but some guys need to make plays on this offense. And if not, I've been saying it for a while. I do still believe that Florida State needs to be bringing in a big play receiver on this offense. You're losing 2 major playmakers.
Well, there's a guy at Toledo that said Florida State's on his list.
Are we ready to transition that? Because we can talk about portal targets.
Yeah, we can. Let me just put this up for a minute. Tony says, you talk about points in general. We're talking about Florida State total points that they put up on the board. Whatever the board says, if it says 35, then we're doing what, $5 a point?
Yeah. So
we're doing $5 a point.
Yeah. If Florida State scores 20, we'll donate 100. If Florida State scores
it's
30
$5 from us. This is from us to our Leon County Humane Society, which the super chat money is all going to tonight.
Which is $100 so far for super chats.
Whatever the final for Florida State says. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So let's transition that. So we talked about the game. I want to talk about because finally Florida State's starting to get a little bit active in the portal, which I believe they really, really need to get active.
Fans are really concerned about that.
I'm concerned about it as a fan.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So we are looking at the portal, and some of the targets so far this is what it looks like. So the good news is that of the available targets or best available players, Florida State's in the mix for 4 of the top 6, I believe. So Evan Stewart, receiver out of Texas A&M, former 5-star, current 5-star transfer. He was a 5-star out of college, out of high school, I should say. 6 foot, 170. He's not the prototypical Florida State receiver that they go for, a big bodied type of guy like Johnny Wilson or Keon Coleman. But a lot of talent there. He didn't have the biggest year at Texas A&M, but he did have some big plays, big games with them. Obviously, Texas A&M hasn't had some great years, obviously, but this is the type of player that I think Florida State thinks they could do well with, and he has a lot of talent in him. So they're in the mix for him. I believe that he recently listed them as in the top 3 schools. He's checking out, I believe, Louisville as well. Right now, if you look at JD Pickle, I believe, or what is his name? JD, the guy for On3 who kind of does predictions and for who he thinks. Pickle, which sometimes I think he trolls Florida State. They think he's going to go to Tennessee. I know this is a guy that Florida State is really trying to get in front of. I think he would be a good fit at Florida State. Once again, they're trying to get in the recruiting battle here. I think this is the type of player they need to get. I don't think if they don't get him, I think there's a lot of good receivers still available, but this would be a good get for Florida State. They need to get he doesn't have the proven production like he's not like a guy that has he's not like coming off 1,000-yard year, right? He just had 500 yards on 38 catches at Texas A&M with 4 touchdowns, but he's an explosive player, right? He can make big plays, and he's capable of having 1,000-yard year. He's been two seasons at Texas A&M. There is some risk there. Is he going to bust out as a 5-star player, or do you think Mike Norvell in this offense could further develop him? I think this is a guy that you would like to get on campus, right? And that goes along with, I think, if you lock down a quarterback, that helps in the recruitment. It's hard to get a guy like Evan Stewart when you don't have a quarterback in the room. That's why I think
it's very difficult.
Florida State fans are so concerned because you don't have Cam Ward, you don't have DJ, and at some point in time, if you don't get a commitment or you don't commit to one of these players, you may be left to dance with neither of them. And Will Howard's about to be off the board too, and you haven't even tried to court him. So,
I think honestly, as you're saying, offensively, when you're trying to bring in offensive players and they don't know who the hell the quarterback is, which right now it's 0, it's Brock Glenn. They're not coming. They're not going to sign. Unless you've got a hell of a big bag of money, they want to know who's throwing the football. These guys want to go to the next level. You cannot go to the next level if a guy's just handing the ball off or he's inexperienced quarterback.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So I think, Florida
on
State
wide receivers.
Primarily, with the wide receiver tight end position, I think it's very, very important to them. And
let's be straight, KB. Mike Norvell is going to bring a guy in. He's going to bring one of the top veteran quarterbacks in. If he fails there, you want to talk about backlash? I think they're waiting. I hate to say, maybe they're waiting till the playoffs are over.
I don't know why that would affect
guys that fall out of that.
I don't know what quarterbacks are going to fall out of that.
No, I'm not just talking about quarterbacks, but I'm talking about in portal in general.
There's still going to be some talent that shakes out. I don't think the best talent hasn't shaken out yet. But for positions at quarterback, you have the 2 best guys still available. In terms of Cam Ward, and Cam Ward's the best quarterback by far still available. Like talent-wise, like talent ceiling, best guy available. Now, DJ, who's still listed here as well, is still a good, it can bring this team to an ACC championship. That is
for sure.
Guys, for sure. And this is a personal preference, right? I think DJ, like I said all along, is the safer choice. You know what he has. He's a safer choice. He's not going to make big mistakes. I think he just has a lower ceiling to him. You know what you're going to get.
You only got him for 1 year.
You've seen that. You've played against him. You know what he does. And you saw what he did at Oregon State and how he elevated that team. And it's not like they had a bunch of weapons there. And he brought them to a great season and what he did with that offense. But Cam Ward, I think people are enamored with his physical abilities. And what he was a guy that was playing at Incarnate Ward, in FCS school, and then transferred to Washington State and put up big numbers there. And now he's looking for his final destination before potentially the NFL. And I think it is Florida State is waiting on whether Ward is either going to put his name into the NFL or he's going to pick them. I think, but at some point you can't wait any longer. You either have to say, dude, we can't wait any longer. We're going to go with DJ, and then we're going to let the other balls, portal balls land where they land, because you do risk waiting too long and putting all your eggs in one basket, and then you're screwing yourself. Because that goes into the other guy you talked about is Penny Boone, who's the running back from Toledo, who had over, I believe, like 1,500 yards this past season, who they're looking to bring into the running back room, which I do think is a little bit interesting. I didn't think running back, they're targeting a lot of skill positions. You got quarterback or receiver, Evan Stewart, who Florida State's having conversations with. You have now running back, who they're having conversations with. This guy had 1,400 yards this past season, 15 touchdowns. This is who they say is one of the best, skill position players who's entered the portal so far. And he just entered his name, I think, this past week. This is a big back. This guy is 6'1", 242.
Short yardage guy too.
Yeah, this guy can make some plays. Once again, he's coming from a smaller conference, but you've had success with identifying talent from smaller conferences. The other thing I found interesting about this kid, as this will be once again probably a 1-year loan as a junior. But when you look at his recruiting profile, and this was the MAC Player of the Year, so he's got the accolades. The interesting part about him is he was in the same recruiting class as Trey Benson, and Trey Benson in that class was ranked the 21st ranked running back when he went to Oregon. And right behind him was Penny Boone, who went to Maryland when he was coming out of college. So, and both guys are, Trey was 6 foot 209. Penny was 6'2", 225. Similar type sizes. A couple inches there. But this is the guy that was, this is the guy that chose to go to Maryland. Didn't work out there. Chose, had to, transfer to Toledo. Got back on track, and now is trying to go back to the ACC level, right?
Hey, let's be honest too. The coaching is a big network career. It's huge. If you don't have a good working network between you and other coaches, you don't think our running back coach, he's going to call his past school and talk to the past high school coach. He's going to call and talk to where is he coming from? Maryland. He's going to call. He's going to call his past coach at Maryland, even if that coach has moved on, to say, what do you think of this kid? This is how these guys network, because that's how they help each other out. And he's going to say, I think he's a good kid. He struggled in the who knows? But you've got the behind the scenes general manager office at Florida State who's highly involved in finding out everything you can about a kid, just like a general manager office in the NFL. It's all basically developing the same way. So you're right.
Now, my question is to you all, and I'm asking all of you in the audience and you, old man, is that you just brought in Cam Davis, Danzy, you have Keziah coming back, you have Sam Singleton. You have what appears to be a loaded room. Now you lost Hill, Hill to FAMU. You lost talent. You've lost some talent, but Benson obviously to the NFL. But you brought in a highly talented Cam Davis and stuff like that, and you have a lot of guys coming back. Why do you think Mike Norvell's deciding to use his portal time and resources on a seemingly highly talented guy like Penny Boone out of the portal versus utilizing the talents? Is it a get the best talent available, skill position wise, or is it I need to elevate the talent that's in this room? Like, what do you think it is?
I personally didn't think we needed a running back. I think we have enough talent in the room. It's not a deeply experienced room with the guys you're talking about, Singleton, Cam Cam. That we don't have a lot of backup experience. So this guy could provide that. This guy could provide that. What did he put? 320 yards down? I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. And
1,400 yards last year.
I'm sorry, 1,400 yards. So this guy is a guy. Teofili is going to be probably going to be one of the main bell cows, as they say it. And Penny Boone could come in and help you, because you can get running backs get injured all the time. So you could bring a guy in like this, as long as he's not going to demand some NIL bag that's out of your budget. Okay. So, I think we're good, but if we could snag this guy, I think it's a good take.
Yeah. I mean, for comparison, Trey Benson had 906 yards this season. Total Philly had 463 on half the amount of carries, of course, but that's your leading rusher is 463. Penny had 1,400.
Let's say, and Penny Boone, you can leverage him a little bit because he's trying to step up to a bigger Power 5 program.
Yeah.
Okay. If we're allowed to say that, because we got snubbed, but he's trying to step up his game, get more visibility, because he wants to go to the next level. So you might be able to leverage that NIL down a little bit under your budget. You might be able to grab this guy. I'd go after him.
Yeah. Like you said, I think, when you're trying to be a top 5, top 10 team, it's good to be in these conversations. And you have to go after the best available talent that you can. If you can get a Penny Boone or a top receiver, you can't let your roster dictate who you go after.
Look,
And
it's
you're
all
going to
about
tell
the playoffs. It's all
Yeah,
about
exactly. You
making
have
to the playoffs. If you're not in the 12 teams, you're going to have questions, because now it's like, oh my God, if I don't make those playoffs, it's the same way in the NFL. If you're not making the playoffs a couple of years in a row, you're gone. You're gone.
Yeah, and you have to tell your team that we're going to bring the best players in, whether it's through high school or through the portal.
Oh,
And
for sure.
And you're going to compete.
Sure.
And if Penny's not competing, or if he doesn't outshine, Keziah, or doesn't outshine, if Cam comes in and he's the 5-star running back and he's ready to play right away, he'll be the starter.
Okay.
But I think this is a team we've established as a running back team, is a committee. Keziah is going to get some carries probably. Penny, if he commits, may get some carries. But I think they know that to be a playoff team, you have to have top talent at all positions. So I don't mind them going after it, but I think this position right here, who they are getting on campus, I believe January 3rd or 4th, Nick Skirton from he was the Big Ten, I think, Defensive Player of the Year, one of them, on the edge. This is a must get. This is a must get for me. We need to get. He had 10 sacks this past season at Purdue. Was a monster in the Big Ten for them, for a decent Purdue team. But this is where you're looking. If you're looking for that replacement for Jared Verse, a sophomore, going to be a junior, this is potentially a 2-year player for you. Potentially a 2-year player for you. This is what you get. This is when you're talking about a 2-year loan. This isn't a bridge loan. This is a 2-year loan, like a Jared Verse, where you could have a guy that wants to develop, or wants to get better, wants to go to the next level, wants to play in the playoffs, get a bigger NIL deal, stuff like that. You have now a case study. You have, Jared Verse, you have Braden Fisk, you have Jermaine Johnson. You have those case studies that you can say, hey, Nick, you not only want to develop, you not only want to get paid, you not only want to compete with the best, we can show you, we can get you to the next level. For me, Florida State has to win this battle. They have to sign this kid, right? Because that will then put you in the right balance to let Patrick Payton do what he does. Because I think Patrick Payton may struggle with the double teams that Jared Verse got, because Patrick Payton's not a massive kid, right? He's tall, but he's not built like Jared Verse is built. So I think Patrick Payton needs that star on the other edge, needs that balance on the other edge to let him do what he does, and let the 6'4", 280 type guy do what he does. And I think this would be a massive get for Florida State. And I think this is a guy, he's going to be visiting Florida State on the 3rd, I believe, and then he's going to go to Louisville. So Florida State should be able to win this battle against Louisville. In my eyes, they have to win this battle against Louisville. In my eyes, now Louisville, they had a pretty good defensive line, so they can show some things off. But this past year, he had 50 tackles, 33 solo tackles, 15 tackles for loss, and 10 sacks, and a couple of pass deflections. This guy was a monster, and that's why you can see why he was rated so high in the best available. This guy will be a monster for you if you can get him.
Yeah, I think, because there's been some fan uproar about our recruiting efforts in high school signees on the defensive line and the edge, and we've kind of had to go to the portal. So if we didn't get the guys you're bringing in as high school, they're not going to make major contributions in there. They'll hopefully they'll get some rotations if they're ready to take the field. Otherwise, you got to go to the portal, and this guy's probably a good guy to bring in.
Yes.
Because
unless you guys think Gilbert Edmond or Brian Turner are going to have a breakout year, like a massive breakout year, I think you have to get him. But also, it's the way Florida State plays too, is that rotational style. If you got a star like this who can come in and take that, be your 3rd down guy or your 1st and 2nd down guy, and then you bring a guy like Gilbert in, or Nick, we're just going to put you in for 3rd down so you can just have full energy and just go right at the quarterback.
Absolutely.
That's what made this team so good, because Jared Verse could go all out on the plays they need him to go out. Same with Patrick Payton.
You've got to get, you and I have talked off camera on this stuff. You've got to keep guys interested in the game. When they're ready to take the field, they understand what's going on. You need to get them into the mix. And that doesn't mean for 50 snaps a game. It may mean 10. but find a way to get them into the ball game so they stay interested in staying with this team and in their individual development. That's important, because this free agency portal thing every year is getting bigger and bigger. And now the money and the leverages that people are trying to do, it's NFL-like, in regards to, I'm going to go out, I'm going to have a big year, and then I'm going to put my name out there. The loyalty towards universities, and like I say, the rah-rah stuff is gone kind of in the past now. So that's kind of where we are,
And I think with Florida State missing out on Armando Blount, we talked about this in high school recruiting to Miami, who we thought could be a guy that you could rotate right away. This is a perfect situation for Florida State. This is a guy with 2 years of eligibility. Like you talked about, you get a guy that's been in a major college football program developing his body who's ready to play right away. Right? Which is, yes, like you said, you lose out on the college football high school recruiting bout, but you get this guy, you feel no pain from it, right? You get a guy that's ready to play, has proven statistics in 2 years, and plug and play for 2 years potentially. So Florida State needs to win
FSU fans, including ourselves, we're going to have to get used to something new. Now, I grew up in generations of sports, especially I'm looking at professional sports and college sports, that guys stayed there. They were recruited and then they stayed there. Guys in pro teams, I used to follow the Red Sox a lot, and I still do. Guys would be there for 10, 12 years. The rosters didn't change that much until a guy named Curt Flood changed, went to court, sued Major League Baseball. I don't have all the facts here, but I remember Curt Flood, and he changed and got free agency. When free agency came in about pro sports, things started changing. I couldn't keep up with the rosters as good as I could. That's going to be the same thing with FSU. You're going to cheer for Florida State. You're going to cheer for the Florida State Seminoles, but some of the players are going to be constantly changing. You're not going to like that, but that's what's happening and will happen in the future, especially in the quarterback rooms.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the latest on the big, I think some of the latest people who are on the move is saying, but like I said, Florida State hasn't made a ton of moves, and I think it's easy to overreact to that, but I think Florida State needs, I think there will still be guys that will, I think the official closing of the portal is like January 3rd or 4th. I think that's the rough deadline. That 30-day window closes, but the window does open back up in the spring for another 30 days in April.
Yes,
and that's when you got Keon Coleman. And I do think there will be guys dropping from more and more teams towards the end of this portal season, and graduate transfers, people on their senior years and who have graduated can always enter the portal. So key thing to remember here. And we just saw these big players like Penny Boone and these guys just enter this week in Nick Skirton. So you are going to still see very talented guys weighing their options right after these bowl games, really evaluating where is the best place for me. So just because Florida State didn't sign 10 guys the last 2 weeks doesn't mean, I do, I hate the phrase. I kind of hate the phrase trust Mike, because I think that is too overreaching to say trust Mike. I would trust him based on the actions he takes. That's where I trust Mike. Trust him on what.
There's certain themes out there. Mike Norvell's got our back. Mike Norvell will figure it out. The buzzwords are out here. Here's the bottom line. Mike Norvell is a career football coach, and he's building his resume. He's gonna make this football team as solid as possible through signees, but more so through the draft. He knows through the portal. He knows that, because you're bringing in guys that have been in college programs. They've survived the first 2 years. They've now put some stats and tape out there, and you're going to plug your holes with these guys so you can win an ACC championship. Because if you don't win the ACC championship, being in this league, you could be team number 13. And he can't afford that again, and Florida State can't afford that again. And that brings me to really the last thing on my mind, okay, KB, and then we can keep going all night for all I care. But I want to say this. To me, the most important thing is not this Orange Bowl. It's not who wins or loses. It's not, I care about it. Don't get me wrong. Or the development of the players, which I think is very important, the development of the players and hopefully no injuries. But the biggest thing Florida State has in front of them is this challenge to the ACC to get out of the ACC, period. Okay. For the long range program, and it may be not in my lifetime, that if we don't get into one of the mega conferences, which is being built today and tomorrow and so on, that being the Big Ten and the SEC. I prefer the Big Ten. I think that'd be a great fit. And I think for the Big Ten, it puts a Southern footprint down. But if we don't get into one of those for the money that the board of trustees has shown everybody, if we're not on the ascending line, this program could easily, and people shouldn't forget, could easily become a stepping stone program for players and coaches like a lot of college programs will become. And you will not compete for the playoffs, no matter if it's 12 teams or whatever. So it's very important to me, to Florida State, in my opinion, they must get out of this ACC, no matter what it takes, as soon as possible, whether that's 25, 26, 27. Yep. It's incredible. That's more important than anything else on the agenda. But I think we have the right team in place, and I hope these guys stay in place to see this through. That's very important.
I agree. No, I totally agree with you. And I think I think they know it too. I think the administration knows it, that the future of this university and this football program and maybe their jobs, because without that revenue that funds a lot of different things, is that they need to get out of this conference. So I think everyone knows the importance of it, and I think there'll be a lot of money involved. But yeah, I totally.
But let's not jump too much when we see the videos of Mike Norvell and Mike Alford, the athletic director, and other Florida State high officials down there careening around with Orange Bowl officials. These are big businessmen. These are big brand guys. They're all in the same boat. And our guys, our FSU officials, have to play the corporate card, and that we're going to play the game and we're going to be competitive and so on. But coaches also have a responsibility to their players, to the best interest of their players, no matter if they're leaving the program or coming back to the program. Because you can't recruit if you're not on the player's side, period. That's it. You're the leader. Your people, your young men expect you to give them candid advice and lead them. And you will not tell guys to play in a game that is not in their best interest. If you do that, the word gets out on you that you're really not about that. So I think Florida State is going to go in. They're going to compete hard. I think, I'm not saying they can't win the game. I think the spread is 17? Is it something like
19,
that?
20 points.
Okay, 19 or 20. Most people would say, maybe take those points. Take those points. Some people say, no way, I'm going to take Georgia. It really is immaterial. Do not get caught up in the hype of the fans. Oh, we beat the hell out of you, or you beat us and we didn't have our guy. That's all water cooler stuff. We're now playing in this game for the development of the 24 team, and hopefully for our guys leaving this team for their development to the NFL, which is a difficult place to get into because 1 or 2% of guys will ever play in the NFL?
Yep.
So and when we hear guys leveraging for more money, whether they're high school guys or veterans, we're in the NFL light. This is the minor leagues of the NFL. There will be continued development. I expect somewhere down the line, further down the road, you could have salary caps. The NFL has salary caps, right? They have caps, and on how many, what that roster cap could be. I could see that happening because you've got to stabilize this somehow. And I could see that happening way down the road, perhaps.
Oh, I think I said that. I think the collectives will lobby for that, because as much as the collectives like the ability,
End.
well, no, that's what I'm saying. As much as the collectives like the ability to help recruit for players, they also don't like spending all this, having to compete to say who's the highest bidder, because it's, they're raising money. It's insane. So it would help to level the playing field, but also limit the amount of money they have to go raise and stuff like that. So eventually that's a whole nother topic. But
yeah.
So a lot going on. Obviously Saturday, 4 p.m. I believe, in the bowl in Miami. We'll see what Florida State has.
The ticket prices. Yeah, the ticket prices I saw on TickPick. We're not part of TickPick. We're not endorsed by TickPick, but I kind of follow them. The last ones I saw this afternoon were like, you could get in for $72. You're still in the upper sections of the stadium, but $72 gets you in for this, what I call a exhibition game for development. I've called it a lot of things. I've called it meaningless. It's not meaningless for the guys who play in it, but from the score standpoint, who wins or loses is kind of meaningless in my mind. And I hope no players on either side get injured in this contest, because that just puts them behind in their careers. Jordan Travis is expected to, maybe be on the sideline or up in the booth. He's been around the team the whole practice time. He's been helping the young quarterbacks, which is hats off to Jordan Travis. He's always going to be remembered as a big part of this football team. But the team you're going to see Saturday at 4 p.m. is not the 2023 ACC champion 13-0 Florida State Seminoles. It's just not.
Yep. Agreed.
And what do we have in the pot tonight again? That
$100, and I'll re-verify that. But from all the donations from Mark, Jeff, Pete, among sorry if I missed every name, but everyone to donate, and what was matched is, I believe, $100 that I calculated.
And so their contributions in my match gives us $100 for the needy animals and staff that take care of them, to the Leon County Humane Society in Tallahassee. And I want to personally thank everybody for their contributions and so on. And you know what, KB, I want you to write down, I'm going to give another $25 bonus right now to the Leon County Humane Society before we go off the air here. So put me down for another 25. That's $125 that we're going to send out to them. And I will do this as well. If Brock Glenn is MVP,
all these side bets.
Well, just write it down. You got a damn pencil. Listen, if Brock Glenn is MVP of the Orange Bowl, whether he wins or loses, doesn't matter. He'd win if he's the MVP.
Yeah,
I'm going to give a $50 bonus if he wins that game.
Okay, all right. So it's $5 per point, and then $50 if he's the MVP. Got it.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Okay.
All right.
And we're doing this because it's a worthy cause. We don't ask for money for us. We don't need money for us. We appreciate what you guys do, and we just glad you're here. We're glad you're here. Whether you contribute, you don't contribute, it doesn't concern us in that regard. We know these are tough times. People are struggling with the economy, and and it's tough. I mean, you're in the holiday season. You've been buying and everything else. So we get it. But thank you so much to those who did make some contributions here. We definitely appreciate it. And all the animals, that they buy food for, they care for, they, vet care, and all the volunteers that they have. It's just good. And there's the organization right there. You can find them right on the internet. And if you're looking for a pet, I say adopt. There's so many nice pets. KB is Gussie there? Pull Gussie up or Bowden. KB's got two of his own. Are they there? Try. Can you get them up for a minute just to show before we go off the air here?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
I can't move my camera.
Well, no, just pull one of them up. No,
they sleeping. I don't know. Wake up. They're sleeping.
Well, KB's got two rescue dogs. You got two rescue dogs himself, and I've met up with them obviously, and they're great pets, and I know they've provided a lot of good memories. Sometimes you might tell them that memory when one of them took a crap inside the house and your dustbuster. What is that thing?
Okay, yeah. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, but we want to thank everybody.
Yeah. Thank you guys again for it. And like you said, the old man, follow us on Twitter. And you'll likely just post that donation there, obviously after the game. When we total it all up. So the 125 plus the game results, that donation, we'll total that up, and then the old man will post that there. So thank you all again. We'll do post-game show either on Saturday or the day after. So follow us then for that. So make sure you like, subscribe, and you'll see we'll post that donation there. But thank you all again for the comments, discussions. And if you're watching this later on, let us know if you disagree or what you think the score prediction will be if you disagree with what's going on in the portal. And enjoy your Friday. If you saw some time off, enjoy that. Enjoy your Saturday and your game day traditions against Georgia. And we'll see you in the post game.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. And we will be on the air at some point to review what the hell happened in the exhibition game down in Miami.
Hopefully it's a win. So thank you all again.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy your weekend. And we will see you all soon. Have a great one, y'all.
Be safe.